When I started playing guitar, it was really easy at first to have fun because I was learning new things, even if it was just an open G or D. But as I slowly got more advanced, months into it, I started getting really bored and really frustrated because I felt stuck with these basic chords, shapes, and beginner things. And there was really only one thing that could take me out of it, is because I just wanted to learn how to solo, or at least play interesting chords. And this problem took me at least a year to solve because I couldn't connect the two very well. But once I did, using the trick I'm going to teach you in this video, guitar became fun forever instead of being boring, mundane, and super difficult to process. When I first started guitar, I fell into a trap where I just felt like I had to know where every note was, and I barely even knew what a fucking note was. So I was like, where's every G? Where's every D sharp? And it just didn't teach me jack shit because I didn't know how to juggle those into scales. I don't know what notes are in B major, and I still couldn't tell you, but I could play it out for you. And what really helped me solve this problem was I started thinking about it like numbers. If you're anything like me, thinking about music as numbers instead of letters is going to make it 1,000 times easier and so much more fun because you're not having these weird brain waves. And when you know the number, you know exactly what the note is doing, and you don't really have to think about whether it's a C sharp or some fucking L. And anyone's first question would just be, how the hell do you learn it as numbers if it's letters? And that's because there's 12 notes, but when you play guitar or any music, you play in a key, and a key is a collection of 7 notes based on several different patterns. But a major scale is like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I learned, okay, there's 7 notes, and 1 marks what key it is, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 all have corresponding chords to them. 1, 4, 5 being major, 2, 3, 6 being minor, 7 being diminished, and often ugly when you use it. Another thing that kept it simple was I just kind of avoided that problem. So when I learned the very basics of counting as numbers, I could then learn functional harmony to play the awesome and interesting chord progressions I really wanted to play, because I knew what a 1 meant, I knew what a 4 meant, I knew what a minor second was, and it made everything a million times easier and gave me the route for starting to learn how to solo, which eventually led to me becoming the guitarist I want to be. And I was at this point where I can only play chords. Again, this felt like I was stuck somewhere, but I learned that you can then start that same position from the 2, and you get this different pattern that descends and ascends depending on where your numbers are going. And when I learned how to connect these scales, also known as different modes like Ionian, Lydian, Phrygian, etc., I was then able to navigate my way around the fretboard and play notes that are in key so they sounded correct. And once I understood how to play notes everywhere, I found really easy patterns inside of that, like 1, 4, and 5 equal a major shell. And by shell, I mean a simple pentatonic scale that can be repeated on over those same chords, and every note you play will be in key. Same thing goes for 2, 3, 6 minor in the major minor shell. When I picked up on that, it became especially easy because all I had to do was think about chords from the high E string, making these higher solos way easier to navigate by chord, which then gave me the ability to start playing notes over chord changes. And then I dialed in my rhythm, because the biggest problem with everybody's solo is they don't really know what rhythm they're playing, and they're kind of just moving their fingers in what sounds good, which goes in and out of time, often doesn't sound very good. So now I arrived at the biggest problem. I knew what notes were seemingly correct, and I knew how to change in between chords because of how I navigate the fretboard, but how do I make it sound good or good to my ear? The first thing is, no matter what you play, there'll always be someone that hates it for God knows what reason, different tastes. It's totally normal, but there is also just sounding bad, like your bends are out of tune, or they just don't have that nice emotional vibrato. So I had to re-back my steps into learning how to phrase, because I knew how to play everywhere, but I didn't know how to make it sound human, and it sounded pentatonic and robotic. So I learned better bending and sliding skills to make a much smoother sound, but then I hit one of the biggest roadblocks I have since I accelerated my growth on that journey. When I hit this roadblock, I thought I was going to be stuck here forever because I felt trapped in a pentatonic box, which is what learning the fretboard. But there's an escape from that, and if you subscribe, I will reveal you how to do it in 5 seconds. The only way to break out of a pentatonic trap is you have to learn how to start and make these pentatonic scales 7-note scales, which I have other videos up on right now. So again, subscribe and like, and you will see those videos in Master Guitar. When I learned how to change those pentatonics into 7-step scales from a pentatonic scale, I then could go up and down the neck with more notes, but I also learned a very specific pattern that made that way easier, which is just octaves. If this is played there, I could just play the same thing there, and it would sound pretty good, or I could at least move around the neck instead of sounding trapped in the same spot. And after learning all of that, and going back to phrasing every 3 months, because your phrasing is never going to be perfect, I became way better at guitar soloing, and it helped me find guitar fun because I could play what I actually wanted to play and what kind of felt like me, instead of being trapped playing songs or trapped just making random chord progressions with the capo. If you found this video and this progression helpful, subscribe for more so I can create more content like this for you. And of course, comment any video suggestions or any criticisms you have below to make this channel better